Prior to the 2022 Blade Show, I was checking out the internet for knife makers that were attending so I can get a preview of their work. One of the makers I found was Mike Malosh. I was so impressed with his work that I added him to my list to go check his knives out in person at the Blade Show. When I walked up to Mike's table, he had 40 knives on the table. And generally you do not see makers with that many knives on the table. And so I picked out 3 or 4, really impressed with his work. I told him I'd be back later to check his knives out again, and maybe I was going to pick up some more. I wanted to get through the rest of the show and take a look at some makers that I had on my list. By the time I got back to Mike's table a couple hours later, there was Mike sitting on his table, no cover, no knives. And I said, "What happened?" He goes, "I sold out." And I was like, "You sold out?" I was stunned that he sold out, but I shouldn't have been. What attracted me most to Mike's work initially was his, what I call, Elk Handle Hunters or Elk Hunters. I don't know if that's what he calls them. But elk is an excellent substitute for stag. Stag prices, because of the ban by India, the country of India, on sandbar stag, it's become increasingly difficult, therefore more expensive, to get sandbar stag. What a lot of people don't realize is that stag or deer, elk, and moose are all in the same family. Consequently, the antlers are basically very similar in construction. Elk, American elk, as opposed to American white-tailed deer, does not have all the pith in the center of it, so it makes for a very solid handle, which is one of the things I like about it. The other thing is it has a nice bumpy or grooved handle that provides extra grip when your hand gets wet. And if you're dressing out an animal, your hand will get wet. This particular piece of antler on here, as you can see, it's got all these ridges on it, which provide an excellent grip and excellent handle ergonomics. All of Mike's knives feature a W2 blade, stainless steel fittings or stainless steel guard with stainless steel, black micarta, and sometimes maroon micarta spacers. Mike this year introduced at the Blade Show what he called his Bear Hunter. This knife features a 5-inch blade, stainless steel guard. The difference being it has a desert ironwood handle and an aluminum pommel on it. The other thing that's different from this is because it is wood, desert ironwood, Mike can basically create a palm swell so it fits into your hand or the palm of your hand even better, providing great ergonomics for the handle. I asked Mike to do a knife for me, and I said, "Would you do it with leather washers?" And it's something obviously he'd done before with his Skagel type knives. And I asked him to do that and make the blade a little bit shorter just to have something different. And as you can see, this knife compared to what I call the Elk Hunter, this has more of a traditional drop point blade on it. The other thing I asked Mike to do in the pommel, which is aluminum, is to put a thong hole. It's just a personal preference. I like that. Use a thong when especially if your hands are going to be wet. You don't want your blade slipping away or falling into the animal or falling into the grass or the leaves or whatever. The leather is basically impervious to most of the elements. However, over time, it will start to contour to your specific hand, giving you a custom grip for your hand. And it will be specific to you. Doesn't get any better than that. Lastly, one of the knives that Mike makes is his camp knife. This is a bit larger than the other hunters that I showed you. A camp knife specifically, it's called that because it's used around the camp to help you prepare meals, sometimes to help you with dressing out bigger parts of the animal if you're going to prepare those for a meal, if you want to make some kindling, cut some saplings, whatever you want to do. This knife features a 6-inch blade, got a little bit more heft to it. One of the things I really like about this knife, as you can see it here, It's got the palm swell in the antler. This fits your hand like a glove. Just, again, the handle ergonomics on Mike's knives are excellent. And excellent balance. And as you can see, one of the things I do like about it is it flares out at the end, which gives you a better grip on the knife. Your little finger is not going to come off of this if you're using it for hard work. Just an excellent all-around knife. Finally, Mike's sheaths are all handmade by Mike. Heavy-duty cow leather, basically a pouch-style sheath with a belt loop on it. Fairly simple. You take your knife, you put it in, holds it in place. It's not coming out. It's not slipping away. You pull it out, you got your knife. No keeper straps. One of the things I like about these types of pouches over the other ones is it doesn't have a keeper strap, because eventually a leather keeper strap will start to soften, loosen, and it will allow your blade or your knife to slip out of the sheath. Not all the time, but that is a concern when you have a sheath like that. Anyway, Mike makes several other models of knives. These are some of my favorite, and be sure to like and follow us.